Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, be it LCPs or singles, and after having listened to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. Casting Crowns' new reimagined album, Life Songs, a celebration of the first 20 years. Casting Crowns' new reimagined album, Life Songs, a celebration of the first 20 years. Let's dive into it. So, on this album, several artists do their own versions of Casting Crowns songs, like Big Daddy Weave's on here, Kane's on here, Stephen Curtis Chapman's on here, Ben Fuller, Amy Grant, Natalie Grant, Hannah Kerr, Tasha Layton, David Leonard, Brian Luttrell, Sawyer Brown, John Reddick, Katie Nicole, Mac Powell, Mercy Me, Torrin Wells, Matthew West, Phil Wickham, Ann Wilson, and Zach Williams. Casting Crowns also reimagines a few of their songs on here. There's also kind of a part 2 to a previously released Casting Crowns song. Casting Crowns reimagines with Natalie Grant, Desert Road, but kind of in a part 2 kind of way. With On This Desert Road, which is based on their song Desert Road on their latest album Healer, but has different lyrics, so it's kind of like a brand new song in that sense. Overall, what did I think of these reimagined versions? Definitely liked... Oh, one more thing before I get into my thoughts on the reimagined versions. It's worth knowing that though it's mainly the guest artists who sing these songs, Casting Crowns vocalists Mark Hall and Megan Garrett sometimes make cameo appearances on some of these reimagined versions too at little parts. So now that I got that out of the way, let's dive into my thoughts on the reimagined versions. So I have to say, pretty good overall. I would say some of the versions though did take a little bit to grow on me. There were a few versions I wasn't as into right away. But by the third listen, I have to say I definitely got used to most of the versions on here. And as for style here, definitely retains Casting Crowns' signature contemporary sound. And, of course, Casting Crowns has had some worship in their catalog, and that is shown here on this album as well. And the thing about the reimagined versions is each artist kind of implemented their unique sound to the songs that they did. So we hear, because of the artists on here, we hear some more southern elements, some more pop elements than maybe we normally hear Casting Crowns go for. Now I'm going to talk about a few of the standout artist covers on this album. I would say Ann Wilson doing Just Be Held, that's pretty good. Stephen Curtis Chapman doing Voice of Truth. Really sounds like a older Stephen Curtis Chapman ballad on this version. Kind of cool to hear. Torrin Wells doing Life Song. I mean, it's a little bit of a different feel than the original version, but it's kind of a fun little pop track now, and it's kind of cool. If We Are the Body, I like Big Daddy Weave's doing it the way they did it. The only thing I would say, as someone who likes Hannah Kerr as well, I wish Hannah Kerr got a little more vocal time in this one, but that's just my take. Sawyer Brown doing The Altar and the Door was good too. Kind of reimagining it to be a southern rock track, and it turned out great. Some versions I did not care for as much, at least initially, and had to grow on me. And I'm sorry to say this first one, because I really love Mercy Me and Casting Crowns, two of my longtime favorites, but Mercy Me's version of Who Am I, the way that the song was played, it took me a little bit of time to get used to, and I wasn't a big fan of how their version of it turned out initially. But by the third listen, it came to grow on me to like it for the most part. Another version I was not really as big of a fan of initially is Brian Littrell's version of In the Hands of the Potter. I just thought his vocals were a little too high pitched for this song compared to Mark Hall's vocals, and I just did not care for that initially, but again, I came around to it as I listened, came around to his vocals on this song as I listened to it more. Overall, even if there were a few moments that weren't necessarily my favorite, good reimagined album here, looking back. And as for the lyrics here, and again, this album is meant to be a celebration of 20 years of Casting Crowns. So this is kind of the summation of the heart of who Casting Crowns has been as a band. And let me just say, as I've gone back and listened to these songs over the course of this album, it's like, man, Casting Crowns has had some great lyrics over the years. And as for the lyrics here, they talk about how when we were lost in sin and doubt, God, in his undeserved love and mercy through Jesus' sacrificial blood on the cross, that we could never earn, chose to save us free from our sinful past, to change us, to speak and reflect the truth of that love to our world that needs it, even in the midst of fearful circumstances that make us weak, and we need to trust our faith in God to be faithfully with us, to restore us from those circumstances by giving us strength to overcome those circumstances. Up next, Ann Wilson's new EP, Rebel, The Beginning. Ann Wilson's new EP, Rebel, The Beginning. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good EP here. Stylistically, the first song, Rebel, is upbeat country rock. The remaining two songs, Strong and Rain in the Rear View, are contemporary country ballads. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. And before I dive into the lyrics of the overall EP, there's one song that I really resonate in particular with, and that would be Strong. Lately, I've been really working hard, volunteering, trying to prove myself at what I hope to have as a job someday. Been trying to be strong, so to speak. And I connect with this song's feeling of trying to be strong and being worn out from that. And while I've been doing pretty good for the most part, I feel like, I have definitely noticed when I've stumbled in a few areas and have been very hard on myself as a result. But this song reminds me, rather than trying to do it on my own, I can't do it on my own. I'm weak. I need God's strength. And even when I do fall, He's there to pick me up. He's there to forgive me. So, that song really speaks to me at this time. And the lyrics of the whole EP are pretty good, by the way. And as for the lyrics here, and one thing I gotta say, this EP called Rebel the Beginning, and I would say there's kind of a double side to that title. How Anne talks about how she had a past of rebelling against God, and now that Jesus has changed her, she's rebelliously living for God, rebelling against this world to live for God. And as for the lyrics here, Anne talks about how she put her faith in the truth of God's word, that Jesus, through his sacrifice on the cross, saved her from a past of sinfully rebelling against him by wearing herself out, trying to make it through this hard, painful life in her own strength, to change her to rebel against this world of doubt by relying on his strength when she's weakened by pain, to victoriously fight for the truth and make it through the pain into brighter days. Up next, Red's new album, Rated R. Red's new album, Rated R. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely a alternative hard rock album with some metal influence. We hear some violin as well. And also, too, synth at a few points gives it a little bit of an electronic influence at times as well here. Pretty heavy overall, pretty heavy throughout. No full-on ballads here, even though Tell Me How to Say Goodbye does start out as a alternative pop rock ballad before it turns into an alternative hard rock. And Michael Barnes does an amazing job on the vocals here, as he always does, with his singing vocals and his screaming vocals, both of which he does on every single song on this album. And as for the lyrics here, don't let the title Rated R fool you. The lyrics are perfectly clean and have a pretty good message, as we would expect from Red. And as for the lyrics here, the narrator talks to this person who is destroying others out of past hurt that this person is hiding, while hypocritically appearing to help others, including the narrator, until Jesus used the pain to revive the narrator free from that to love. And while the narrator is happy to be free from the pain, he hopes that Jesus saves this person from destruction too, so that they can love each other through this painful world forever. Up next, Evan Kraft's new album, Chances. Evan Kraft's new album, Chances. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely mostly on the upbeat pop side of things. An upbeat pop sound that can sometimes go into upbeat pop contemporary or upbeat pop rock. In the ballad moments here on this album, the sound kind of takes on a contemporary pop worship feel. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Mostly in English and a little bit in Spanish. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. I like how Evan's trust in God and heart to reflect Jesus' love is shown throughout this album. And as for the lyrics here, Evan talks about how in the impossible hard times where he's weak, he trusts his hope in God to grow his faith in Jesus, to faithfully change Evan free from his sinful past, to trust God, to faithfully work the hard times into a way to strengthen Evan, to reflect Jesus' saving love that welcomes everyone through his blood on the cross. Up next, our last release for today, Jamie Grace's new album, Dreamer. Jamie Grace's new album, Dreamers. Let's dive into it. So, pretty good album here. Stylistically, definitely a pop sound here. Some upbeat moments, some ballad moments. The pop sound also incorporates elements of lo-fi, country, and R&B, and in the ballad moments, some alternative elements. And as for the lyrics here, pretty good lyrics here. Jamie talks about how when she feels insecure from other people's negative opinions of her because she's different, she puts faith in God to lead her to keep pursuing her dreams of authentically, happily reflecting God's loving her for who she is. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. Actually, you can come back on Monday for my thoughts on Brandon Lake's single, Coat of Many Colors. My mom asked me if I've heard it, so, of course, I'm going to turn it into a review. And she also asked if I heard Brandon Lake's new single that came out today. So, I'm going to review that one in next week's video. So, got some Brandon Lake content coming your way. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe. I put out videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's releases or what I may have said about them, let me know that in the comments below. Also, in the comments, you can let me know if there's any awesome releases that came out today, in addition to Brandon Lake's new single, that you want to see in next week's video. Also, check out the playlist section for my Music Muffin Dreams playlist, which got an update this past weekend, featuring songs from artists like John Keefe, Indie Tribe, Aaron Cole, and others. So go and check that out if you're interested. Well, I'll go now. See you on Monday for my thought on Brandon Lake's Code of Money covers. And then next Friday for my thoughts on the music that came out today. See you then. Bye.